Hello everyone, welcome to the global network of English language skills and resources for teachers and students. I appreciate your patience for waiting until the very first episode of this channel will be released to you. All right, let's go ahead. First things first. In today's time, you as a learner, what are some of the things that you need to have in order to not just learn English, but also master the English language skills to the maximum proficiency level? What are some of the things that you need? Well, before we talk about it, I would like to say the approach that may really help you not just learn English, but master it to, close to the native level is to learn English, which I would say teaching English without teaching you English. So I will come to the detailed part of this in a minute. So as a learner or as a student of English language, either you're learning English as a second language or learning it as a foreign language, the very basic things that you need to actually have access to is obviously internet and computer or a smartphone. So it goes with us saying that internet is actually the gateway or the gate door to the world of knowledge. There are unlimited resources for you accessible and available on internet. So I would say make it as your priority that you definitely need to have access to internet. And then, of course, a smartphone or a computer, which you can use to, just kind of use it as a learning tools. But what really matters here that I'm talking about teaching you English without teaching you English comes back to the materials. Now, the question is, I know I was asked about, do we have a textbook? What are the teaching materials when it comes to teaching English without teaching you English? Well, I would like to say the materials are actually, or necessarily should be, the authentic resources, which are basically not really made for you to, to teach you English. So, but rather the materials, the English texts that are, used for daily life, work, events, etc. Just to name a few, let's talk about newspapers, magazines, manuals, so on. So I will talk about why the authentic materials or resources are super helpful when it comes to picking a language such as English to learn and to be able to communicate in everyday life. So, as I said earlier, the authentic resources or authentic texts are basically texts as materials, which are designed for native speakers. And they are real texts, designed not for language students, but for the speakers of the language. Examples are magazines, newspapers, and so on. Or we can list them here. Magazines, newspapers, radio, songs, movies, etc. Now, you may guess the reasons behind why authentic resources or the text materials which are designed for native speakers are very helpful for you to learn English through. Now, I would say, let's say, if you pick up a magazine, you open it, you see the actual texts, the actual events, live events, work events, anything. And you come up with an understanding that these texts, words, vocabulary, are actual today's English. You need to, learn today's English in order to be able to communicate in today's world. So, picking up an article from newspaper is the same. Listening to the radio, which are basically in English, but if you just be able to track it, I guarantee you that you will be able to not only understand but also be able to use the same words and vocabulary that you will hear back. Now, songs is an interesting part. I heard from many students of mine who shared with me that their secret to English proficiency is just by listening to their favorite songs and music. Well, I think I agree that is a real life scenario. When you pick up a song that you're interested in, listen to that song over and over again and again, what happens along the way is the fact that you will be naturally, picking the pronunciation, the accent, the stress pattern, and your English pronunciation will sound more or less like native speakers. Of course, practice makes better. The more you practice, the better you become. So I would also suggest to pick up your favorite song that you're really interested, listen to it over again and again, and then go to the next song. And just if you're not really into listening to songs, we will come to a new discussion about how to learn or what to actually learn first, maybe. Cartoons are actually, basically, you may say, well, cartoons are for children. But I mean, when it comes to language learning, we all are like children. We need to understand the very basic phrases, sentences, and then, pick up the words that are used. And then you grow with that series of cartoons or a movie. Well, we have a lot to talk about it. So some of the authentic resources, for instance, let's say magazines. When you pick up a magazine, you not only, get to know what is in that magazine in terms of the information, resources and anything, but you also learn how a language is being used there. Another thing would be newspapers, right? So now, newspapers can be really helpful. I understand that you may not actually have access to newspapers, but if that is the case, you can always Google it, or just sign up for news channels. I don't know, could be different news broadcasting, you know, network that you might actually find helpful. Could be BBC, CNN, or it could be Fox News, or could be a local, you know, a network for that. So yeah, or other authentic resources that I actually would recommend is to watch a movie in English, but make sure the movie is not distractive. What I mean by that is that sometimes you're watching a scene of movie and you're focusing on understanding the language, while within a few minutes you're distracted from the actual language being used, but you're more focused into what you see. So that is a little bit difficult to, just keep watching for the purpose of understanding all the language that is being used in that movie, but it's not impossible. You need to consistently remind yourself that this is for the purpose of understanding how English language is being used in that movie. So yeah, if you're a fan and if you're interested in cartoons, I would always recommend start with cartoon that they use English language with the very basic phrases, and of course, if you master the basics, and then you build upon up to the advanced level. All right, we have got actually more to share with you, but personally, I would like to keep it short and brief until the next episode. Thank you.